You ever get that feeling that we have all the right pieces, all the knowledge, the technology, the brilliant people, but we just can't seem to put the puzzle together to solve our biggest problems? Well, today we are diving deep into a new kind of architecture that's designed to fix that exact issue, the deep systemic fragmentation that's holding us all back. So here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll set the stage by looking at our fragmented world. Then, we'll introduce Phoenix, this new architecture built to tackle it. After that, we get into the really cool stuff. Its brain, called Relational AI, and the wild concept of ethical digital twinning that lets it perceive the world. And finally, we'll pull it all together to see what a regenerative future could actually look like. All right, first up, why is something this ambitious even necessary? Well, the problem we face isn't really a lack of good ideas, it's a deep systemic misalignment in how we all operate. This image just says it all, doesn't it? On the left, that's pretty much where we are now. A world driven by tribalism, individual egos, and just consumption. And on the right, that's the goal. A world of conscious collaboration, where we're all working together in symbiosis. The billion-dollar question that we're going to explore is, how do we build the bridge to get from the left side to the right? And that brings us to this term you might be hearing a lot lately, the polycrisis. It's this idea that all our huge challenges, climate change, social division, economic instability, they aren't separate problems. They're all symptoms of one root issue. We're acting like a bunch of isolated parts, when in reality, we are a deeply interdependent whole.
So, if fragmentation is the disease, what on earth is the cure? That brings us to the proposed solution, a brand new kind of infrastructure with a very fitting name, Phoenix.
Now, when we talk about the Phoenix platform, I want you to get any idea of just another app or website out of your head. The vision here is so much bigger. It's about creating a living, breathing global commons, a kind of planetary nervous system that lets all the different parts of our society actually talk to each other and coordinate in a meaningful way. Okay, so at the absolute core of the Phoenix platform, you've got something called the Synergy Engine. You can think of this as its beating heart. It's the engine that's designed to take all of our scattered knowledge and good intentions and actually turn them into coordinated, effective action.
So how does it actually do that? Well, the Synergy Engine makes a few key things possible. It enables swarm intelligence, which is just a cool way of saying it helps groups find solutions together that no single person could see on their own. Kind of like how a flock of birds moves in perfect harmony. It also pulls together knowledge from everywhere, maps out these super complex systems so we can see the big picture, matches needs with people who can help, and nurtures new collaborative projects from the ground up.
And this quote just nails the whole philosophy. The era of the lone genius solving everything is, well, it's over. The new winning formula isn't about isolated excellence anymore. It's about our ability to create synergistic coherence, to actually align our efforts and get on the same page.
Right, but to make all that happen, to get that true coherence, you need a totally different kind of intelligence powering the whole system. This is not the conventional AI we hear about every day. This is a whole other approach called relational AI.
And this slide is so important for understanding the difference. Conventional AI is incredible at its job, right? It's great for prediction, for sorting things, for automation. But relational AI, it's a systems thinker. It is being designed from the ground up to understand something much, much messier. The web of relationships, the hidden connections, and the context that gives everything meaning.
So here's the official definition, and I want you to notice a couple of key words here. First, it's a governed architecture. That means ethics and rules are baked in from the start. And its whole job is to perceive and support the evolving web of relationships, not just look at static data, but at living, breathing, changing systems.
So what actually makes this AI relational? It really boils down to these four pillars. First, it's contextual. It knows the environment it's in. Second, it's temporal. It doesn't just see a snapshot. It tracks the history and where things are headed. Third, it's multi-layered. It can see the biological, the social, the cultural, all at once. And maybe most important, it's governance aware. It actually recognizes that things like power, influence, and accountability are part of any real-world system.
Okay, but wait a second. For an AI to perceive relationships, it has to have a way to actually see them. I mean, an AI can't just read about trust in a spreadsheet and get it. This is where a really fascinating foundational idea comes in: ethical digital twinning. Just think about it for a second. How would an AI model something like the health of a rainforest or the strength of a business partnership over time? It needs a rich, dynamic way to represent all the moving parts. And that's exactly what a digital twin does in this system. It acts as the eyes and ears for the relational AI.
Let's get really clear on what this means. We're not talking about some creepy static copy of something. It's a structured, living model. Think of it less like a photograph and more like a real-time health dashboard for a system. And its entire purpose is to make all those invisible connections finally visible, so we can act on them.
And the sheer scope of what can be represented here is, well, it's kind of mind-blowing. We're talking about everything from individual people and their teams to entire organizations, ecosystems, even abstract concepts like trust networks, cultural memories, or the emotional climate of a whole city. The goal is to model the entire relational field.
Now, I know what you might be thinking, and this next point is absolutely crucial. The key word here is ethical. The whole architecture is designed with safeguards built right in. This is not about surveillance, it's not about control. Any kind of digital twin in this system has to be based on consent, with total transparency, and the ability for anyone to audit how that data is being used.
Okay, so let's pull all these pieces together and see how this whole thing could actually move us toward a regenerative future. How do the platform, the engine, and the AI weave together to create something new?
This is the simplest way to think about it. The Phoenix platform. That's the ground, the infrastructure, the shared space where we can connect. The synergy engine. That's the operational layer that helps us coordinate within that space. And the relational AI. That's the guiding intelligence, the brain that makes sure our coordination is smart, insightful, and actually coherent.
And this really brings it home. At the end of the day, all this tech, the twinning, the AI, the platform, it's just a tool. It's a means to an end. The real goal here is so much bigger. It's ethical, it's relational, it's about building our civilizational capacity to collaborate in a way that serves all of life.
Which leaves us with this one final, massive question. We're facing these incredibly complex, interconnected crises, and the clock is ticking. Can an artificial intelligence that is designed specifically to understand relationships help us finally learn to work together? And can it help us do it in time? That is the hope and the challenge at the very heart of this entire vision.